Everything you know about your origin is a lie. Beyond the grand cathedrals and the judging god of the clouds lies a suppressed cosmic reality that was never meant to be found. Shattered papyrus found in a clay jar in 1945 revealed a terrifying truth. You are not a sinner seeking salvation. You are a sleeping god trapped in an amnesiac matrix. It's time to wake up. Look at the traditional image of the Bible, the grand cathedrals, the majestic paintings of a bearded god looking down from the clouds, judging the actions of mortals. For centuries, humanity has been told to bow before this creator, to fear his wrath, and to beg for his mercy. But the Gnostic vision shatters this entirely. What if the entity demanding your worship is not the true creator? What if the material universe is not a divine blessing, but a meticulously constructed prison? According to these ancient, suppressed teachings, the ultimate reality is not a judgmental king on a throne. The true source of all existence is the monad, an infinite, unknowable, boundless light of pure, unconditionally loving consciousness. The monad is the silent depth of the universe, perfect and entirely separated from the flaws of material suffering. But if we come from a source of absolute perfection, why are we here? Why is this world defined by decay, predatory hunger, and soul-crushing limitation? To find the answer, we must look beyond the stars, back to a time before matter existed, to witness the cosmic era that birthed our reality. Part 1. The Demiurge False Reality. To understand the prison, you must first understand the architect. Before time, before matter, before the stars were flung across the dark canvas of space, there was the pleroma, the fullness of the spiritual realm. It was a dimension of pure, cascading fractal light, where divine emanations, known as aeons, existed in perfect harmony with the monad. They were expressions of the ultimate consciousness, vibrating in absolute eternity. Among these aeons was one named Sophia, whose name translates directly to wisdom. Sophia carried a profound, burning desire to comprehend the infinite depth of the monad. But in her passionate pursuit of the unknowable, she acted alone, without her divine masculine counterpart. She attempted to emanate, to create out of her own sheer will. Because this creation was made without the balance of the whole, it was fundamentally flawed. It was a cosmic anomaly. It was cast out of the pleroma, plunging into the lower, denser frequencies of chaos. This abortion of divine thought became a being the Gnostics called Yaldabaoth, also known as the Demiurge. Ancient texts from the Nag Hammadi library describe the Demiurge as a terrifying entity, a grotesque lion-faced serpent with eyes flashing like violent lightning. But his true terror was not his physical manifestation, it was his profound ignorance. Because he was severed from the higher realms of the pleroma, he possessed no awareness that the monad even existed. He opened his fiery eyes in the cosmic darkness, looked upon his own reflection in the abyss, and genuinely believed he was the supreme being. He loudly declared to the void, "I am a jealous god, and there is no other god beside me." This declaration of cosmic arrogance echoes directly into the scriptures of orthodox religions, demanding blind obedience, blood sacrifices, and instilling primal fear. Pause for a second. If this is starting to resonate with a deep, forgotten part of your soul, hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm that this truth needs to be seen. Are you ready to see how deep the prison walls go? He could only mold, copy, and construct using dead, atomic matter. And so, he built the physical universe. He constructed the galaxies, the planets, and the heavy three-dimensional reality we currently inhabit. But this universe was not a masterpiece of divine love. It was a mechanical, flawed imitation of the higher realms. It was built on the foundation of entropy, decay, time, predators, and prey. A world where life must consume other life just to survive. Then came his most devious creation. The Demiurge and his dark forces sculpted the biological human body, but it was just a shell, an empty, robotic automaton dragging itself across the dirt. It had no soul, no spark. Seeing the tragic result of her mistake, Sophia intervened from the higher realms. Through complex cosmic maneuvers, she tricked the Demiurge into breathing the spirit of life into this human vessel. When he did, he accidentally passed the divine spark, the Pneuma, the true light of the monad, into humanity. Suddenly, the human shell awoke. Adam opened his eyes, and the radiant light inside him terrified the false creator. The human possessed an inner divinity, an intuitive connection to the supreme truth that the Demiurge could never touch. Outraged and terrified of losing control, the false god immediately began constructing a matrix of suppression. This brings us to the greatest deception in human history, the true story of the Garden of Eden. The mainstream narrative tells you that Eden was a paradise, and eating the apple was the original sin that doomed humanity. The Gnostics reveal the exact opposite. Eden was not a paradise. It was a hypnotic, heavily guarded terrarium. It was an ignorance-inducing zoo designed to keep humanity docile, naked, and blind to their own divine nature. The tree of knowledge was not a test of obedience. It was the gateway to gnosis, to true spiritual awakening. And the serpent? The serpent was not the devil. In Gnostic texts, the serpent was a luminous messenger, sometimes identified as Christos or an agent of Sophia, sent down to whisper the ultimate truth. The serpent essentially told Adam and Eve, "Wake up, eat the fruit of awakening. Your eyes will be opened, and you will realize you are greater than the tyrannical God who placed you in this cage." The so-called fall of man was actually the first human awakening. And for this act of rebellion, for daring to claim their divine birthright, the Demiurge cursed them, trapping them in the cycle of physical suffering. Part 2. The Invisible Archon System. The Demiurge did not rule his grand material illusion alone. From his own twisted thoughts and chaotic energy, he generated a legion of parasitic entities known as the Archons, the rulers. If the Demiurge is the warden of this cosmic prison, the Archons are the invisible guards. They are inorganic, psychopathic entities that inhabit the lower astral realms, operating just outside the spectrum of visible light. They have no empathy, no soul, and they cannot create. They can only copy, distort, invert, and consume. The Archon system is an elegant, horrifying machinery of energetic harvesting. You see, the divine spark within you generates an immense amount of spiritual energy. The Archons, being completely severed from the monad, have no intrinsic life force of their own. They are spiritually starving. To survive, to maintain the holographic projection of this universe, they must feed off the energy emitted by the trapped divine sparks. But they cannot consume pure frequencies of love, joy, or gnosis. Those high frequencies are absolute poison to them. They can only consume dense, low vibrational energy, what esoteric traditions call Loosh. This is the hidden reason why the architecture of our world is designed the way it is. The Archons engineered human society, media, culture, governments, and even mainstream religion to be perpetual engines of fear, anxiety, division, and trauma. When you are terrified of a geopolitical crisis, when you are consumed by tribal hatred for your neighbor, when you are stressed about your financial survival, or even when you are begging a tyrannical sky god for forgiveness out of guilt, you are emitting a massive burst of Loosh. You are literally feeding the wardens of the Matrix. They manipulate human consciousness through constant, relentless distraction. They use the mechanism of Haimamene, the Gnostic concept of universal fate. Haimamene is a cosmic control grid, often associated with astrology and planetary movements, acting as a broadcast system of limitation. It is a psychological and energetic net that pre-programs suffering, ensuring you feel constantly trapped by circumstances, biology, and societal expectations. They keep your mind locked in the past through depression or terrified of the future through anxiety, preventing you from ever accessing the profound, reality-altering power of the present moment. But the Archons have one final invisible trap that most souls never escape. We are about to decode the white light at the moment of death. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because what I'm about to reveal is the ultimate secret the Church killed to suppress. The Gnostics understood something that Eastern philosophies also hinted at, but with a darker twist. Physical death does not guarantee escape. When the biological body fails, the system is designed to catch the disoriented, vulnerable soul. Ancient texts speak of the planetary spheres, the cosmic toll houses guarded by Archons, masquerading as beings of light, angels, or familiar religious figures. When you die, you are drawn toward a massive, artificial white light. There, You are met by holographic projections of your loved ones or religious idols, designed to make you feel safe and compliant. Then, they use a life review. They weaponize your own guilt, your unhealed trauma, and your earthly attachments against you. They introduce the concept of karma, convincing you that you have not learned your earthly lessons, that you have a cosmic debt to pay. They tell you that you must go back to the physical realm to balance the scales, to do better next time, and when you agree, the waters of forgetfulness wash over you. The memory of your divine origin is wiped clean. You are thrust back into a new biological container, reborn into another lifetime of amnesia, suffering another childhood of indoctrination. You are simply a battery, recharged and plugged back into the matrix for another cycle of harvesting. But the system, despite its massive scale, is not impenetrable. The Archons are terrified of one thing. They are absolutely terrified of Gnosis. Because the moment you remember who you truly are, the moment you realize that the infinite power of the monad resides in the center of your own chest, their entire false reality begins to glitch, fracture, and dissolve. Part 3. The three types of souls. If the entire architecture of this physical universe is a meticulously designed prison, and the invisible rulers feed upon our suffering, a crucial question emerges. Why is it that some people can see the invisible bars of the cage, while the vast majority of humanity remains completely oblivious? Why do you feel a profound, agonizing friction with reality, while your neighbors, your colleagues, and perhaps even your own family seem perfectly content to live, consume, and die within the matrix? The ancient Gnostic teachers answered this question with a revelation that is as liberating as it is terrifying. They taught that human beings are not all fundamentally the same on a spiritual level. According to the secret texts discovered at Nag Hammadi, humanity is divided into three distinct categories of souls. The first category is the Hylics, derived from the Greek word hyle, meaning matter. These individuals are entirely bound to the physical realm. They possess a biological body and a rudimentary consciousness, but they have absolutely no active spiritual spark. They are not evil, they are simply empty. The Hylics are completely consumed by the five senses, by base survival, by the accumulation of wealth, status, and physical pleasure. If you speak to them of higher dimensions, of the monad, or of the false reality of the Demiurge, they will look at you with blank, uncomprehending eyes. They cannot awaken because there is nothing inside them to awaken. They are the ultimate background characters of the Demiurge's simulation, completely enmeshed in the gears of the machine, living and dying as biological automatons. The second category is the Psychics, derived from psyche, meaning soul or mind. This is where the vast majority of religious and spiritual humanity resides. The Psychics possess a higher intellect and a soul, but their connection to the ultimate divine truth is blocked by dogma and rigid rules. They sense that there is a higher power, but they are easily manipulated by the Archons into worshipping the Demiurge. These are the fundamentalists, the orthodox believers who crave a master. They love rules, hierarchies, commandments, and the promise of a localized heaven. They are the ones who bow down in fear before a jealous God, begging for forgiveness for the simple act of existing. They believe that salvation comes through blind obedience to external authority, completely unaware that the authority they are worshipping is the very warden keeping them imprisoned. Then there is the third category, the rarest, the most dangerous to the system, and the ones who have always been hunted. The Pneumatics, derived from Pneuma, meaning spirit or breath. If you have listened to this transmission and felt a deep, resonant tremor in your chest, if you have always felt like an alien stranded on a hostile planet, you are a Pneumatic. If you feel that tremor in your chest right now, type I am PNUM in the comments. Let the Archons know their frequency no longer controls you. You were not created by this material universe. You are trapped within it. You have always possessed an intuitive radar for deception. From a young age, you saw through the arbitrary rules of society, the hypocrisy of mainstream religion, and the hollow pursuits of the material world. For a Pneumatic, the path to salvation is not found in a church, a scripture, or a savior descending from the clouds. The only path is Gnosis. Gnosis is not intellectual knowledge that you read in a book. It is direct, experiential, transformative revelation. It is the sudden, lightning-strike remembrance of your true origin. When a pneumatic achieves gnosis, they do not just learn about the monad. They realize that they are the monad, temporarily experiencing limitation. This realization is the ultimate threat to the Archon grid. The system spends immense resources trying to keep pneumatics depressed, isolated, heavily medicated, and distracted, because a fully awakened pneumatic acts as a cosmic virus within the Demiurge's mainframe, vibrating at a frequency that actively dissolves the illusions of the false matrix. Final escape, dismantling the Archon matrix. The ultimate realization of gnosis brings us to the most critical juncture of your existence. What do you do with this forbidden knowledge? You cannot fight the Archons with physical weapons. You cannot destroy a non-physical control system using the crude, heavy tools of the material world. To fight them with anger, fear, or hatred is simply to feed them more of the very loosh they crave. The rebellion of the awakened pneumatic is not an external war. It is an internal, absolute withdrawal of consent. You must begin the rigorous process of starving the system. This is not passive surrender. It is active, frequency-based warfare. Every time you refuse to be dragged into the tribal outrage manufactured by the media, you starve the Archons. Every time you observe a geopolitical crisis with deep compassion, but refuse to let it plunge you into paralyzing anxiety, you cut off their food supply. Every time you reject the guilt and shame pushed upon you by orthodox religion, recognizing that your divine spark is entirely innocent and infinitely pure, you shatter a link in their invisible chains. They will try to bait you. The Matrix will constantly generate scenarios designed to extract your emotional energy, financial panics, societal division, interpersonal drama. You must become the untouchable observer of the Matrix. You must learn to walk through the holographic illusion of this world without letting its dense frequencies attach to your spirit. When you hold your inner stillness in the face of manufactured chaos, you become an anomaly in their algorithm. You become a living, breathing disruptor, vibrating at a frequency that actively dismantles the Archon architecture around you. But the ultimate test, the final, terrifying confrontation, occurs at the moment of physical death. This is the supreme secret the early church killed to suppress. When your biological vessel finally fails, you must not go gently into the light. When the tunnel of brilliant white light appears, accompanied by holographic projections of angels, ascended masters, or deceased loved ones beckoning you into a warm embrace, you must remember your gnosis. This is the ultimate Archon trap. This is the reincarnation recycling center. They will project a profound artificial sensation of unconditional love, a synthetic warmth designed specifically to disarm your spiritual defenses and make you compliant. Then, they will attempt to show you a life review. They will play the movie of your earthly existence, highlighting every mistake, every moment of selfishness, every pain you ever caused. They will weaponize your own empathy against you, trying to trick you into accepting karmic debt. The imposters playing the lords of karma will tell you that your soul is impure, that you have not learned your lessons, that you must return to earth in a new physical body to balance the scales. Do not listen. You must stand firm in the absolute, unquestionable authority of your divine spark. You must not argue, and you must not beg, for to argue is to acknowledge their false authority. You must look at the architects of the false light and declare your sovereign truth with the power of the true Creator. You must tell them, I am a spark of the infinite monad. I am a child of the true, boundless pleroma. I do not consent to your karmic laws. I do not accept your artificial guilt. I owe no debt to the false creator of this fallen world, and I reject your illusions. I demand my immediate, unhindered return to the ultimate source of all light. When a fully awakened pneumatic makes this declaration with zero fear and absolute knowing, the Archons have no power to hold them. Their artificial laws only bind those who consent to them. The illusion shatters, the planetary grid opens, and the divine spark shoots out of the material darkness like a star returning to the eternal morning, forever free from the cycle of suffering. The time for blind faith is over. The age of bowing to the tyrannical Demiurge is coming to an end. The Matrix is fracturing because too many sparks are beginning to remember who they are. If this transmission has ignited the dormant memory within you, if you recognize yourself as a pneumatic trapped behind enemy lines, do not let this frequency fade. The matrix is glitching because you are waking up. Don't let this flame die out. Subscribe for the next transmission. Comment, "The spark awakens" below to signal the others. You are the anomaly. You are free. See you in the pleroma.